This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com, and today we have an interesting guest, former Survivor personality from 2 seasons, as well as other reality shows. He's also been in TNA wrestling. He's owned his own wrestling company. He's worked with AJ Styles and countless other big wrestling stars. So we'll get into that too. But Jonny Fairplay, looking the same as ever. How are you doing today, sir?
Thank you. You're very complimentary. I feel like I pressed pause on aging in 2003, and I'm glad that God or whoever else I sold my soul to obliged with that compromise.
What are you doing these days? You're podcasting. Are you still in the television industry at all?
Yeah, I'm a full-time podcaster now. I was doing realty stuff for like the last 6 years, and my network is built up enough at realitynsfw.com. Search on YouTube reality NSFW. It's the Reality Not Safe for Work podcast, and life is good. Like I enjoy watching reality television and talking about reality television. I do live Survivor viewing parties whenever Survivor is back in action. There was a 1-year hiatus, and so this Wednesday night I'm in Worcester, Massachusetts at Rascals. Tickets available at survivortix.com, survivortix.com. And so I do those around the country. I have shows coming up in Cincinnati and Los Angeles and Charlotte, North Carolina. I was in Lexington, Kentucky for the premiere with Mike Bucci, Hollywood Supernova. So I stay busy. So it's really cool to stay active in the platform that brought me to the dance.
I see you have your Ted DiBiase wrestling buddy in the background there. He's a very controversial figure these days. Have you heard about the trouble he's got himself into?
I have. So the interesting story about this is, so on Survivor, when I first played was 2003 was my first season. That's when I did the infamous Dead Grandmother Lie. But prior to going on Survivor, they asked you to list an item from home to bring with you. And so they're like, Johnny, what would you like? And I was like, a carton of Marlboro Lights. And they're like, no. And I'm like, a quarter of Kind Bud. And they're like, no. And I'm like, a lighter. And they're like, no. And so finally I was just like, I thought I would like a pillow out there, but you can't ask for a pillow, because I was just like, can I get the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase WWF wrestling buddy? And they're like, yes. And I was like, okay. So Thunder D, the guy that did the Dead Grandma Lie with me, he actually found, I had one when I was a little kid, and long gone, of course. And he found one on eBay out of the UK. And so he ordered it and sent it to me. So I got approval from WWE. I got approval from Tonka, who was the manufacturer. And Ted DiBiase owns his name and would not give permission for me to use this. And I'm like, motherfucker. like you're really. So my luxury item ended up being a mullet wig. And my season of Survivor, we ended up we were marooned. We jumped off a ship with nothing but the clothes on our back, so we never ended up getting our luxury items anyways. But this was the actual luxury item I was planning to bring with me in 2003.
Was he already a Christian by the time that he denied you?
Yes, yes, and that's very, very Christian-like. It's like the same Christians that tell me, you're gonna burn in hell for saying your grandma died on Survivor, and I'm just like, well, number one, my grandma was cool with it, and she still is. Her license plate on her car was Dead Gma, so so she was with it. But I'm seeing for like a hardcore, and I'm a Christian. I go to church on Sundays, and I try to do good stuff. But for someone to say that you're going to hell for lying about your grandmother dying, I'm just like, that sounds like voodoo to me. So are you actually a Christian, or are you into like voodoo pagan stuff? Because that's That would be the result of what you're bringing to the table. I asked my pastor, and my pastor is pretty confident that God doesn't watch Survivor.
Yeah. Yeah,
He
chances
might.
are.
He might. I don't know. But like, even if he does, I don't think he cares.
There's lots of judgmental Christians, as I get messages from them all the time on here, that like to tell me I'm going to hell.
Yeah. So because I don't, once again, I don't think God watches podcasts. He might. And if he did, I'm sure he would enjoy them, or she. I don't even know. I don't. I'm not here with any of those answers. So, but I do know that lying about your grandma dying and it didn't really kill her. She's still alive to this day. I'm pretty sure that like me and my spiritual universe are all okay.
This fan on here says, "Good morning, Puff Puff." Is he psychic or something?
I don't know. That's so weird. You're talking to the president of the Danville Cannabis Club here in Danville, Virginia. I think there's like 22 Danvilles. There's more Danvilles than any other city in the U.S., I believe. I could have made that up, but I think there's like 22. And July 1st of this year, we legalized marijuana. And I am working with some friends. We're opening up a dispensary in 2022.
Very cool. And as far as Survivor goes, what made you apply to the show? You just wanted to
I never applied to Survivor.
Oh no? What's
No,
the
I was a
story?
recruit. I was on my way to pick up my my buddy's girl, or my buddy's girlfriend was came by to pick me up en route to a Von Dutch party. And we stopped at a gas station. She's pumping gas like a woman should. I went to the corner to have a cigarette, and this white Volvo locked up the brakes. And she goes, "You mind if I ask you a crazy question?" I'm like, "You're hot. Why not?" She goes, "You ever watch Survivor?" I go, "No, they're a bunch of fucking losers." She goes, "I'm the casting director." I go, "That sucks. That sucks for you." She goes, "I'm offering you a 1 in 16 chance at $1 million." I'm like, "Whatever." She goes, "I think you'd be perfect." I go, "Tell me something I don't know, honey." She goes, "That's it. You're on."
Well, that's amazing. So you got on by being rude to the casting director.
Yeah, because there's so many people. Like back then, they were receiving 80,000 videos a season to be on Survivor, and when they would meet with the head of casting, they would suck her dick, and she was like, "I'm not here. I don't want to cast someone that's here to suck my dick. I'm here to cast someone that's going to tell other people to suck their dicks." And so, uh, the process usually goes, you make it to the finals of casting. You go to the hotel for 11 days. And so like I got to the hotel, I think I brought a quarter ounce of weed with me and like 2 cases of Coors Light. Over the course of 11 days, I never took a single shower. Like I kept my shower filled with beer and ice. And like our handlers that were watching us, they actually came to my hotel room every night to party with me. And then, when it was time for the drug test, I ate like 20 golden seals and I passed.
I'm surprised they even did a drug test. Why would it matter?
They drug test, psych test, STD test. They do a background check. I think they said for each contestant, they spend $40,000 to get them to be on the show.
Now, I had the same opinion of Survivor as you, so I didn't actually watch it. Did the STD test come into play while you were on either of the seasons?
Not for me, but like, so I was living in Los Angeles when I was cast, and I lived there for another, 5 years after that. So they do the same thing on Real World, Road Rules, The Challenge, Survivor. Like they do this for all these seasons. So my ploy when I was living in Los Angeles, I mean, like I was on the #1 show in the world, not just the US, not just, #1 for the night, like just the #1 show in the world at that time. And so my stock was pretty freaking high. So like when a girl would come off a reality show, or a girl would go on, like, they film, months in advance. So I'd find out the cast and I would make a quick entry, to whatever the new flavor was. I was like, "Hey, what's up?" I mean, like, I know you at least passed an STD test, a couple months ago. Hopefully that's still the case. And, how you doing?
Well, that makes me want to ask, how were the Survivor groupies? Because we know that there's groupies in wrestling, maybe to a lesser extent in TNA, but there must have been a ton of them for Survivor.
I mean, I'm over 1,000, so it's pretty. Like, I would do appearances all over the country. So after my first season of Survivor, I was like 10,000 a pop to go to a club. In my rider, it said I wouldn't shake hands, I wouldn't sign autographs. I go straight to VIP. You'd have a bottle of Grey Goose, a bottle of Patron waiting, and I mean, there would be appearances at club. I like three girls a night was not out of the norm.
That's very fun.
Yeah, I mean, but even prior to Survivor, living in Los Angeles, I back in my back in my heyday, and I'm not proud of it, and I'm not bragging, and I'm not telling you to do this. I mean, but I was living in Los Angeles. I enjoyed drugs, weed and cocaine. Well, not never really a pill guy, but I was a good looking guy in LA, and there would be nights where I would bring back prior to Survivor, one to four girls. So I mean, it's just you have a they're called bag chasers.
I guess I was going to ask you if you have any pickup tips, but I guess that's probably
Yeah, buy a bag. So, but at the same, I mean, I don't know. I feel like the world's different now. If you have a bag of cocaine, you probably won't get laid. So, I don't have a bag of cocaine in my pocket these days. So I don't know. The world changes daily.
cocaine could also affect a man in a negative way.
Not me. Like
No.
oh my God. Like it was like Viagra for me. So
Did you ever get to go to the Playboy Mansion back when you were in your heyday?
still, well, I mean, if it were still doing thing, I've been 6 times. So the first time I went, was right after my first season of Survivor, and I took Burton for my season of Survivor. And so you actually park at UCLA parking garage, and they pick you up in buses and take you over to the Playboy Mansion because there's not enough parking for everyone to drive there. And so Burton and I went, and we were on the first bus over. We're just like, Playboy Mansion, this is the dream come true. And so we go, and everyone Olivia, the pinup artist that used to that does the Betty Page stuff. She was like, "Have you been in the game room yet?" I'm like, "Nope, haven't been in the game." She goes, "Got to go to the game room." And then I think, God, I'm trying to think who was next to like Seth Green and just all these, just random celebrities. Have you been to the game room? Have you been in the game room? Have you been in the game room? And so me and Burton finally like walk. Well, we do a tour, like, they have the zoo and they have monkeys. And I mean, it's just amazing. And the grotto, not what the grotto is fat, naked European guys. That's it. The grotto is not where you want to hang out. So anyway, so we finally make our way across the courtyard to the game room, and it's Playboy pinball tables, Miss Pac-Man, Galaga, and a couple pool tables. And like there's just like a couple nerds in there, like playing, games. And so I look at Bert and I'm just like, are we losers? Or like, do they want us to go to the game room because we're not cool and they don't want us at the actual party? So we're pretty bummed. And I'm just like, fuck them. I don't care. I'm still, I was invited to this party. I'm going to the fucking party. So so we go back, and this girl was just like, we're waiting in line to get a drink. This girl's just like, "Hey, are you Jonny Fairplay?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "I want to fuck you right now." I was like, "Awesome." She goes, "Come with me to the game room." I'm like, "Huh?" And so I go, and there's a secret door at the back of the game room. It's called the van room, and it's a circle room with pillows against the wall, and then mirrors above that, mirrors on the ceiling, and then there's like a stack of condoms, a stack of lube, and a stack of wet naps. And I'm like, holy shit, this is it. So I fuck her as fast as I possibly can, and then I'm like, thank you, and I run back to go tell Burton, who's actually still in line. It like that's how quickly. And so he's still in line, and I'm just like, Burton, the game room. Oh my god! And as I'm explaining, how how cool the game room is, this other girl walked. She was like, "Hey, are you Jonny Fairplay? Do you want to have sex?" I'm like, "Yes." I was like, "Burton, I'll be right back." So I run one more time to the game room, and then finally come back and say, we're cool. You want to go to the game room.
Very good. What's your record for most in a day?
So I believe it was the 4th time I went to the mansion. Me and Owen Wilson had a contest on who could fuck them or have sex. I don't know. Are you allowed to say fuck anymore? Anyway,
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know what the YouTube rules are these days.
I don't know. Well, we were seeing who could have the most consensual sex, and so he was up 4-3 at the end of the night, and he was like, I win 4-3. And we're just about to leave, and these 2 girls were like, hey, do you want to? And I was like, yes, follow me. And so we ran over to Owen, and I go 5-4, 5-4, I win. And so there we go.
Now, is this without the help of performance enhancers? So...
No cocaine.
Oh, I mean like Viagra or Cialis.
No, I mean, I could have been using bluechew.com promo code Survivor for a free trial and $5 shipping, but no, it's just me at my peak.
You've lived quite a life. I understand you were also working with Roddy Piper, I guess, at one point. How did that whole situation come about?
Insanity. So when I had first moved to LA prior to Survivor, I had a mutual friend of mine, Smart Bart Sawyer, who was tag team champions with Flex Cavana in USWA. And Flex Cavana, of course, would later become The Rock. And so Smart Bart Sawyer had been Roddy's personal assistant. And I think he got a DUI or something, so he couldn't drive and couldn't drive Roddy around LA. I don't know what was the impetus, but anyway, I get the phone call from Smart Bart. He's like, hey, Roddy's looking for a personal assistant down in Los Angeles. Are you interested? He'd like to have lunch with you. And I was like, sure. And he goes, bring weed. I'm like, okay. So we met at the Palms, and I brought a bowl. And so we smoked a bowl in his car, and then we went to the Palms, and he goes, what do you have going on in your life? And, and I explained, where I was at in life and, what I had going on. And he was like, okay, he goes, tell me a little bit more about yourself. So, so he told me, I told him my backstory, my origin story and all that stuff. And he was like, okay, cool. He goes, what are you doing tomorrow? And I was like, nothing. He goes, you want to have lunch? And I was like, sure. And he goes, is the Palms okay? I'm like, yeah, another filet mignon. Let's go. So the next, he goes, bring more weed. And so the next day we smoked a bowl in his Cadillac, and then went, and he goes, I don't know what you got going on, but tell me a little bit about yourself. So anyway, so I explain what's going on. I explain my backstory. So anyway, this happened 4 days in a row. And so finally he, on the 4th day, he goes, I don't know what you got going on. And I'm like, I kind of spent 4 days explaining this. He goes, however, I'm prepared to offer you a job as my personal assistant. Write a number on a piece of paper, and let's see if we can make this work. So I write down $80,000, and he goes, you got a deal. And I go, no, he goes, you should have asked for more money. And so I go to grab the paper to change the number, and he grabs the paper and chews it up and swallows it.
That's hilarious.
That's Roddy Piper. It's just in a nutshell.
So what were your duties as his personal assistant other than finding him weed?
I had to find him weed. No, he was doing the acting stuff. So it was just meeting with producers, directors, writers, getting scripts, going to acting class, Ivana Chubbuck's acting class, and then coming back and just running lines. So it was the extent of most days.
Did you do much acting yourself over the years?
I've done some things. I did The Scorned. We did a television show called Kill Reality. There's a poster behind me beside the Jeff Hardy painting right there behind me. Kill Reality was a horror movie with all reality stars, and the filming of the show was documented on a television show called Kill Reality. So, but I've done The Scorned, and then there's I did a pilot for a show called Ghost Trek. It was myself, Disco Inferno, Colt Cabana, and then some reality stars. And it was kind of like a like a mockumentary of like ghost hunters and stuff. So it was pretty cool.
What's your opinion on ghosts? I know Roddy said he lived in a haunted house and he was on one of those ghost shows, but since it's Halloween, I'm curious to know your opinion.
I believe in ghosts. Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, like there's so much crazy shit in the world. Why should you discredit anything for being at least a possibility?
What about UFOs with all this UFO stuff in the news this year?
I honestly think, I mean, like you know, we've the last 10 years have been so crazy, you know, with COVID and everything else that I, I if I had, I don't know what the betting line is, but I think UFO's got to be next on the list, and probably sooner than later.
Someone's telling you to read your Bible out here.
Okay, well, here's the deal with me going to church. I'm friends with my pastor. I'm friends with other pastors. I do a self-help podcast available at helpnsfw.com. And and the moral of the story for me is like when I leave, I go to a church. It's a 1 hour service. It's only, well, I mean, I'm sure they have other stuff. I go on Sundays. It's 1 hour, and I leave. I can't tell you what the sermon was. I can't tell you what the passage was. I go as a reminder for myself personally, just to do good things that week, and that's why I go to church. So you know, if there's a lot more words there that I hear or don't hear, but you know, I'm not here to tell anyone to go to church or do anything. I just say for me personally, it's just like I'm a bad dude with a black hole where a heart should be. So if I can give myself a weekly reminder to do, you know, something nice, it's not a bad thing.
There you go. I wouldn't put myself through that, but that you can. Someone wants to know if you smoked weed with Joe Rogan when you did Fear Factor, and how was that experience?
Yes, sir. so so I did Celebrity Fear Factor, and I'm the first person in the history of the show to be brought back after they were eliminated, and then also the first ever co-host of the show. And so we did 3 episodes, and the second episode, myself and Twyla from Survivor were eliminated, and then they brought. So while we're filming the first 2 episodes, like all of us are in this one little trailer. It's uncomfortable. It sucks. It's horrible. And then when I get brought back as the co-host, I have my own trailer beside Joe Rogan's trailer, and I'm just like, oh wow, like you guys have money for to get everyone a trailer if you really fucking wanted to. And so I'm sitting there, and I just smell nonstop weed coming from Joe's trailer. And so finally he looks out, he goes, "What the fuck? Are you not getting high with me or what?" And so I was just like, I didn't want to disturb you guys because I was blowing it out the window for a reason. So anyway, so yeah, I smoked with Joe there. And then my manager shares an office with Pauly Shore at the Laugh Factory. And so whenever I'm in Los Angeles, we usually go to the Laugh Factory, and Joe would typically be there, and we'd usually get, you know, most of the comedians get high out front before the show.
Does it help make you funnier, do you find?
There's a fine line. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. So I don't feel cocaine is helps anything. So I can remember several wrestling performances that I did coke before, and I feel I wasn't optimal. So like, I mean, if you just find that like, you know, maybe a hit or two to take off the nerves, but like for me personally, I'm not actively seeking out. I'm very comfortable in my skin and what I bring to the table, and my humor and my timing. So it's not going to change me one way or another. I would say more times than not, I'm coming in, uh, base neutral, and let's go and attack this thing.
I hear that speed actually helps in wrestling more than cocaine.
I don't know. I've never what's is it, speed meth?
I don't even know. I don't
I
think
think
so.
I think it is.
Is
Or
it? Is
maybe
it some
maybe
form
a
of
version thereof. I don't know.
a cheaper version, perhaps?
Yeah, it's horrible. So yeah, don't do that.
Ricky Steamboat said he took some before his famous
WrestleMania
WrestleMania
3?
3 match with Savage.
Oh wow.
But did Piper,
well, then you know what? Go do speed, kids. Or
did
don't.
Piper teach you anything about wrestling, by the way?
Did Roddy?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So Roddy was training this guy, Lewis the Kid Rock, on how to be a wrestler. And Roddy goes, show me your punches, kid. And Lewis goes, my punches are dog shit. I'm not, I don't want to embarrass myself. He goes, show me. He goes, no, sir. He goes, I would really be embarrassed. He goes, but Johnny has good punches. He does Bob Eaton punches. And I'm just like, this shit ain't about me. It's about you. And Roddy goes, let me see your punches, Gucci. He called me Gucci. And I go, no, I'm good. He goes, come on, let me see your punches. I'm like, there, once again, teach the kid how to fight. I'm fine. He goes, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. I'm like, all right. So I do a Bob Eaton punch. He goes, that's pretty good. I was like, thanks. He goes, you want to see one of mine? And I'm like, no, I'm good. He goes, come on. And I'm like, no, I'm all right. He goes, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. I was like, all right, fine. So anyway, so boom, top lip busted open, bottom lip busted open, pouring blood. He goes, did it look real?
That's funny.
Delayed reaction.
Yeah, no, I couldn't get the thing to open back up.
Yeah.
But as far as his kayfabing, I saw him on Howard Stern, like that episode he did like around 2002, and he was still kayfabing very heavily. Would he do that when he was around you as well with the public? Obviously, he didn't kayfabe you.
It the thing with Roddy is, so Roddy has told so many stories so many times that I don't think he's ever lying or was lying. However, he's told the story enough that it's because that there are some details that may not be factual, but in his head they're fact, just because he's told the story so many times. So as I said, I don't think he's intentionally lying. It's just, like rumor and innuendo just grow, they grow their own legs. And so I think there was a lot of cases of that. I mean, because like for me personally, my heroes growing up were Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, and Andy Kaufman. Like those are who made Jonny Fairplay who I am today. And so I asked Roddy about Andy Kaufman, and the stories that he told me timeline wise didn't line up at all. And once again, I don't think Roddy was lying to me to be cool. I don't think he was lying to me for the sake of lying. I just think that Andy Kaufman is probably someone over the years that he had been asked about, and he just combined details. And so, but one of my favorite wrestling interactions was like, Roddy, to the day he died was just like, Hulk Hogan never pinned me in the ring because he couldn't. And I'm just like, well, Mr. America pinned you on SmackDown. He goes, you can't prove that was Hulk Hogan.
That's really funny. And for those that don't remember, Hulk Hogan was wearing this Mr. America mask, and he was suspended. I don't know if they ever finished that angle. Wasn't there some blow up with Vince, and that angle with Piper and Hogan never actually finished?
It was a Hogan thing. It wasn't Roddy. I don't think, because I don't know. Roddy was that. So here's a big peek behind the curtain story. So when Thunder D, the guy that does the Dead Grandma Lie with me on Survivor, when he comes out, he likes to pretend it was a Ric Flair strut. That shit was Jeff Jarrett all day long. So anyway, so he does the Jeff Jarrett strut, comes up and hugs me. And when he's hugging me, he goes, Roddy Piper got fired from SmackDown. And I go, I don't give a fuck. Tell me my grandma died. And then you see us back up, and he goes, did you get the letter? And I'm like, what letter? He goes, she died, dude. He said dude like 18 times. I'm just like, can you work in 12 more dudes just to really fucking sell this? So, but when he hugs me, that's what he's telling. He goes, Roddy Piper got fired from SmackDown, I think for the Bob Costas deal.
And also, yeah, that was a bad situation for sure. His daughter said that he was a very loyal husband and all this, and I've heard it from other people too. Is that true on the road? He was,
yeah, I mean, I didn't
loyal.
see Roddy cheat. So. Roddy was in. Roddy had his fun chemically. So, and and that's just the way it was. I mean, Gangrel used to tease me all the time. He goes, dude, if you had come around the 80s, you would be a fucking billionaire right now. He goes, you would be one of the greatest of all time. He goes, but you would be dead. So there is that. So no, Roddy had his fun. It started at 8 a.m. and by 8 p.m. Roddy was out. So.
Did he ever tell you the story about him and Pat Patterson that was supposedly traumatizing to him?
No.
Okay.
What story?
There's only I haven't actually seen the DVD. He talked about it on some DVD, and there's only like clips of it, but it doesn't tell the full story.
Yeah,
and I'm too cheap to buy the DVD. So.
Yeah, no, he never said anything about Pat.
So how did the TNA deal happen? Were you actually under contract, or was it just like per appearance?
Shit, brother. Brother. So no, my first season of Survivor, as I mentioned, #1 show in the world. I mean, I think my finale, we had 33 million viewers. It's fucking crazy numbers. And like Rupert was one of Survivor's favorite players ever. I sent home Rupert 8th place, so that solidified me as a villain. And then I did the Dead Grandma Lie the week after getting rid of Rupert, and so my stock was pretty high. And so the week Saddam Hussein was captured was the week after the Dead Grandma Lie, and the New York Post read the front page of the paper read "The Most Hated Man in America." There's a picture of me. Page 2 is Saddam Hussein, and I'm just like, motherfucker, like. I never killed anybody. Like, I lied about killing. Like, I'm pretty sure Saddam Hussein killed people. This dude should be a little more hated than me. So, but I'm cool with it. Like, I appreciate, as I said, my heroes, Andy Kaufman, Ric Flair, Roddy Piper. So, I understand the role of a heel and I embrace it and I'm for it. So, but going into the finale, I got calls from WWE and TNA, and WWE offered me a 4-month deal where it would either be me versus the Divas at WrestleMania, or I would be revealed to be Trish's sleazy boyfriend in the Jericho Christian thing. And so I think it was a 4-month deal for like $80,000 or something like that. And then TNA offered me $300,000 for 2 years. And I had Jeff Jarrett call me, I had Dixie Carter call me, and they're, like I asked Jeff, I'm just like, well, who am I managing? He's like, you're not managing anyone. You're just the biggest bad guy there. And I'm just like, I'm pretty sure that's your gig. And he's like, no, it's yours. And that didn't end up being the case. So, but I really wanted to go to WWE. Like I like 2 bucket list things for me, or like 3 bucket list things for me were WrestleMania, Madison Square Garden, and the Greensboro Coliseum. And none of those things would happen if I went to TNA. However, at the end of the day, my wallet said $300,000 is greater than $80,000. So I chose TNA. And so they wanted to advertise me the week before I got there. And so they called me and they're just like, hey, you need to sign your contract. And I was like, I'll sign it when I get there next week. And they're like, no, we need you to sign now because we need to advertise you. We need to have a signed contract before we can advertise you. So I was like, okay. And so Bob Ryder was head of like vice president of talent relations, like, at the Johnny Ace or Jim Ross of the time for TNA. And so I'm on a conference call. It's myself, my manager, or myself, my agent, and Bob Ryder, and Dixie Carter we can hear in the background. And so my agent and I both hear Dixie say, give him whatever he wants. Make this happen now. And so my manager goes, we'll call you right back. So she calls me, my agent calls me personally, and she goes, what do you want? And I'm just like, I want $300,000. She goes, what else do you want? And I was like, I want to fly first class. And she was like, what else do you want? I'm like, I want a 5-star hotel. She goes, what else do you want? I'm like, I want a cell phone. She goes, what else do you want? I'm like, I want insurance. And she goes, okay. And so we called back and I got $300,000, first class, 5-star hotel, cell phone, and insurance.
Wow. You'd probably be in like the top 5 anyone was ever paid in TNA, probably.
Absolutely, positively. No contest. So, but the thing of it was, so all that happens, and the next week, Bob Ryder, who is one of the owners of OneWrestling.com, leak out my contract. And so the TNA locker room sees my contract, and I walk in, and everyone there hates my guts.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. How was the backstage, since you're a non-wrestler?
I am, but that's not true. I am a wrestler. I started in 1990. Like, so I was originally trained by Manny Fernandez. I was originally trained by one of the assassins, Ken Spence, and then later trained by Manny Fernandez, and then later trained by Axel Rotten at Bone Breakers, and then finishing school with Roddy Piper. So like I used to manage the Rising Sun in New Dimension Wrestling in 1998 against the Hardy Boys because 98, 97, because the owner of New Dimension Wrestling was scared the Hardy Boys were going to take the tag team titles to WWF with them. And I'm just like, I'm pretty sure Vince doesn't need those. So, but yeah, so no, I was a worker. I was a boy. I mean, like, I don't remember a single match I worked from 96 till 2000 in which I didn't jump up on the ring apron, take the fucking punch to the face, and do the Nestea plunge to the floor, whether there be padding or not. But I took that bump every match.
Who would have been the biggest asshole to you in TNA?
Everyone. And I don't blame them. So, I mean, like, but at the same time, it wasn't like, I mean, like, James Storm didn't like me. However, the night before my debut, they sent a limousine to pick me up and to go around the local bars and give out free tickets to come to the fairgrounds. And so I had a unlimited bar tab, and I had a limousine drive me around. And, and James Storm was like, I don't like this motherfucker. I heard what he's making, and, fuck him. But, it's nice to drink for free and ride around a limousine. So he didn't like me initially, but, it took time for people to figure out. They didn't say, hey, we're giving Jonny Fairplay $300,000. We need 10,000 of yours. Like, I didn't take anyone's money to get the money that I'm making. So what people needed to realize is, if they're giving me this much money, then maybe you can say, hey, am I as good as Jonny Fairplay? How about giving me fucking Jonny Fairplay money?
Yeah, you had more notoriety than anyone on their roster at that time, and they needed that.
Yeah, I mean, like, so I got my first night, I took a spinning power bomb from AJ Styles, and like that was ridiculous. So my contract stated $300,000. My contract states 1 bump a year. I don't take a bump for 6 months. I have right of refusal, and I have creative control over my character. So I get there, and Jeff Jarrett goes, man, you ain't gonna believe this. Fuck, Access Hollywood's here, Inside Edition, whatever, all the fucking, Entertainment Tonight, they're all here. Like, you need to take a bump. And I was just like, I thought I won't take a bump for 6 months. Like, why are you gonna kill my heat? And so I walk into the locker room, and I just see just dirty looks from everyone. And I'm just like, well, fuck. I was just like, everyone here hates me. This is going to be the longest 2 years of my life. So maybe if I take a bump, then I'll earn a little street cred with these people. I don't know. So anyway, so I was like, let me call my manager. So I call my manager, or my agent, and she goes, I don't know what a spinning power bomb is, but the answer is fuck no, fuck them. And I'm just like, this shit is going to suck if I don't do this. I was just like, I know how to take a bump. It's not going to kill me. I was just like, if this makes this better, a better 2 years, then I don't think I have a choice. I was like, however, I was like, they're killing my fucking heat out of the fucking gate. This is fucking dumb. It's poor. It's bad fucking booking. So anyway, so we go to practice, and it's me and Don Callis and AJ and Jeff Jarrett, and we're doing the rehearsal. And so I grabbed the chair to hit AJ, and Don Callis goes, "This motherfucker doesn't even know how to hold a chair." And so I look directly at him. I go, "This motherfucker shouldn't know how to hold a fucking chair. I'm an outsider. Like, you know what? I can watch this. Here's how you hold the fucking chair if you're fucking trained to. I'm Jonny Fairplay. I'm a fucking outsider that shouldn't fucking know." And Jeff goes, "Kid's got a point." God damn it. Fuck that dude.
So
Right?
how was AJ? So yeah, I agree with you on that.
Should Jonny Fairplay have known? No.
They don't even teach you that in wrestling school anyway, so I don't even know what they're just.
Well,
trying
I've
to
watched enough wrestling. I know, but there's no reason my character, like, he's just like, oh, this fucking guy. This guy's doing what the fuck he should be as his fucking character. So, and then like AJ, so it's time for the spot. AJ kicks me in the fucking stomach. So boom, go down, gets me up for the power bomb. I'm fucking selling because it's real to me. I'm just like, this motherfucker's gonna power bomb me. I know it fucking hurts. I'm not in a hurry. Anyway, he stiffed me on purpose. That was for the locker room. We've talked about it. I get it. I got no beef with it. So, you know, it's what needed to happen at the time. And so I go to the back, and Terry Funk cuts a promo in the locker room. He goes, "This motherfucker just sold more than any of y'all did. Oh, God damn not."
That's pretty cool that Terry Funk was there. Did you have much interaction with him?
Yeah, like, well, I mean, for what I remember, I mean, AJ did stiff me. I did get a concussion. So, but no, Terry put me over, and you know, gave me the kudos afterwards, and you know, one of top 10 moments of my entire life. You know, the whole day, the whole exchange, the whole moment, everything. So it was really cool. That was my dream. I mean, you know, I one of the questions of Survivor is like, what is Jonny Fairplay's dream job? And I put pro wrestler. I mean, like, I grew up in Danville, Virginia, which is 45 minutes from the Greensboro Coliseum. And from the age of 4 on, I went to the Greensboro Coliseum. And, you know, I remember when I was a kid, my dad going, "Root for the bad guys. The good guys are pussies." You know, and actually last night I went to a Carolina Hurricanes hockey game, and we were walking up, and I was just like, this reminds me, like, fucking, you know, 200 feet or 200 yards that ways is the Dorton Arena. And I remember, I think I was 10 years old, and every month I would either go to the Greensboro Coliseum, the Roanoke Civic Center, or the Dorton Arena to watch wrestling. And, you know, we catch, you know, Crockett Mid-Atlantic, you know, or, you know, later Crockett NWA or whatever. And I remember there was 1 month I convinced my mom to get me tickets for both the Roanoke Civic Center on a Friday night, and then the next night we went to Raleigh to the Dorton Arena. And that was a big deal because, you know, I didn't come from a ton of money, but, you know, we did okay. But to get back-to-back shows on a weekend was insanity. So anyway, so we go to the Roanoke Civic Center, we watch the matches, and then the next night we go to the Dorton Arena, and it's the same fucking show from start to finish. And I look at my friend, I go, "You know what? This might not be on the up and up."
What do you think about Ric Flair's recent controversies? You must have been a Flair fan, you did mention you were one growing up.
Yeah, I mean, Ric Flair is Ric Flair. He's the nature boy.
Did you ever get to meet him over the years?
I've met Rick many times, so he's a hoot. So I mean, like, I've never seen his dick, but but you know, if I could get in a selfie, I don't think it'd be a bad thing.
So did he ever tell you about the helicopter trick or hear about it before you heard about it through this?
I mean, I've heard about it forever. I mean, that's Ric Flair. Like, 2021 is much different than 1980, and it's much different than 1990. So, you know, the world is changing. So I would like to and the mind space and world that I live in currently, I would like to think that Ric Flair wasn't trying to rape anyone. And at the time, it was okay to do, dick helicopters. And shit. I mean, I remember, 2003, I used to do the hairy Rolex, I literally have a Rolex, but, sometimes I'd wrap my dick around my wrist.
I haven't heard about that one. That's funny.
Yeah, it's like, hey, have you seen my hairy Rolex? But once again, it's 2021,
Do you think like that's a problem with wrestling today? In the old days, we had all these crazy characters that were really crazy outside of the ring, and now they're hiring people that are pretty much boring outside the ring, and it translates into the product.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't think they are not as wild as they used to be. And that's probably a good thing. I mean, I think if you transported the wrestlers of 1980 to 2021, they would probably be in jail and within, 3 weeks. So, but I think they all did what was acceptable at the time. So, I think with us generationally different, I think there's going to be some difference, but at the same time, I feel a looser rein on a lot of people, would make, for the most part, better and compelling television.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Dixie Carter is a pretty loved and hated figure. How was your experience with her?
I love her. She's great. She's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. So she was a huge fan of Survivor and hired me, accordingly. And she, went out of her way to try to get Jeff to use me in a good creative direction, and it never worked out. And then Jeff was removed from head booker and replaced with Dusty Rhodes. And Dusty looked at the roster. He goes, "Who's this Jonny Fairplay? And why does he make more money than everybody else?" And they're like, "That's the kid from Survivor. Jeff Jarrett hated him, and he's getting paid a lot of money." He goes, "He's more famous than AJ Styles. I'll use him." And that was it. So I was brought back.
So tell me about why Jeff Jarrett hated you.
I have no idea.
Is it true he's like a crazy partier? I know he went to rehab a bunch of times, but I've heard some stories about him.
I hung out with him one night at Jeremy Borash's, but like, no, not, I mean, if he was, I didn't see it. So like, I was actually disappointed. So, cause even prior to TNA, I used to hang out at, I've been going to pay-per-views and Nitros and Raws forever. So yeah, like whenever they were in Baltimore, we'd all go to the BWI Marriott and then go and then I was friends with the Hardys and friends with X-Pac and a bunch of those guys. So I remember one night we went to, it was me, X-Pac, Midian, Road Dogg, and Jeff Jarrett. And we ended up at a hookah bar. And I replaced the tobacco with weed, and Jeff smoked some, and he was just like, "This is crazy for tobacco." And I'm just like, "It's not tobacco." And he's like, "What?" And he freaked out a little bit because he didn't smoke weed.
Interesting.
Yeah. So not like he wasn't like angry, but he was just like, I thought we were smoking tobacco. So, but yeah, I saw on Instagram today that Jeff today was 4 years sobriety. So kudos, Jeff.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Was he replaced because of the whole stealing Kurt Angle's wife situation, or was it just from being a bad booker?
No, I think this is before.
Okay.
Yeah. So because I had a conversation with Kurt right when he was about to be removed again, and Kurt was making a power play to get the book, and he wanted to bring me in, and like we talked for like 2 hours, and the next day I hit him up and he didn't remember any of the conversation because it was one of Kurt's happy nights.
How was your appearance on Dr. Phil?
So The cool thing was I got a Dr. Philism. Like, so I was on an episode called Celebrity Bickering Couples, and it was me and my wife at the time. She was from America's Next Top Model, and we did a deal where I was just like Dr. Phil's just like, Johnny, why are you so upset? And I'm just like, Dr. Phil, she doesn't like to clean. He goes, you can't tell a woman to clean. It's like trying to baptize a cat. They just don't like it. And so the crowd popped, and then I got booed, and so it was cool.
Getting booed on Dr. Phil, that shows that you're a good heel.
I think so, right?
You should be able to get booed anywhere.
I do. I remember. So when I was in TNA originally, so the first night I took a spinning power bomb from AJ Styles. The next week, Brian Urlacher threw me over the top rope to the floor. I won the SB for best non-sport sports moment of the year. Because back then ESPN was not in bed with WWE, and wrestling was not considered a sport. And then the next week, Simon Diamond stomped on my hand. And then the next week, I threw a drink in AJ's face. And the following week, I took somehow I managed Lex Luger and Abyss to the tag team championships, I think, or AJ and Abyss, and I managed someone to the tag team belts, and somehow during that took a Styles Clash, which preparing for the Styles Clash is every bump you take, you tuck your chin. I mean, like that's the rule, and that's the only bump that you don't. And so, you have all day, like AJ, whenever he like for anyone that has accidentally tucked their chin, I get it, but AJ will walk past you about 100 times that day and go, don't tuck your chin. Don't tuck your chin. Don't tuck your, so, even though he concussed me on purpose for the locker room, as I said, I don't blame AJ personally. I think anyone in that spot, they felt a responsibility to do that. And yes, it sucks, and yes, it's shitty, but no one knew my history, doing indies since 96. No one knew, or a lot of people didn't know that I was Roddy Piper's personal assistant. They didn't know that and on Survivor, whenever I vote someone out, I'm just like, oh yeah, Mr. Savage sending you home. I did, now can you dig that sucker? I'm doing $1 Million Man, Ric Flair, Scott Hall. Like I had one of the survivors that were so pissed off because I wasted Scott Hall on someone else. They were fucking furious. So, but I had paid my dues. So, but the Styles Clash, pretty scary thing, because like if you do tuck your chin, you can break your neck. And so, I took it correctly, because AJ is very professional and reminding you. But after that, like Jeff went to Dixie, he goes, I don't know what to do with the kid. There's what else there? I'm just like, well, you've destroyed my heat. I mean, I've taken everyone's I took fucking Simon Diamond's fucking fist stomp. I mean, like, fuck. So anyway, so I got sent home. Dusty brings me back, and where was this? With all that, I don't remember the original question.
We got off. Oh, it was something about Jeff Jarrett being removed as booker, I believe.
Oh yeah, yeah, I don't remember. So anyway, so
nobody thought he was a good booker, anyways. But you just gave some more examples.
Yeah. So there you go. Okay.
Many people.
I'm just like, did I explain? Yeah, I think I answered it. Okay, good.
Many people are asking here about this Danny Bonaduce thing. Was it a work, or was that legitimate?
No, it was pretty shitty timing for me, life-wise and career-wise. So it was at the Fox Reality Awards, 8 days before I was supposed to leave for Survivor Fans versus Favorites. And I had met Bonaduce. So on Survivor, like I used to do the flying, I would jump into people's arms. And then like I had met Bonaduce twice before. And the last time I met him, I had jumped up on him like that. And he carried me around for like 45 minutes, introducing me to people and shit. And so he was presenting the final award of the night. I was presenting the final award of the night. So the year before, they had done an award for the greatest reality star of all time. I got The trophy is that gold Realitini right there, beside Jeff Probst. And I beat Flavor Flav and Dr. Will, and I made a celebratory victory lap. I kissed China. I kissed Ron Jeremy. It was a greatest night ever. and and so they brought me back the next week to present the reality the reality performer of the year award. So I came out there. I was presenting it, and what I didn't know, I guess, many things. So I've been on 70 plus reality shows, like, Celebrity Fear Factor, Celebrity Poker Showdown, Kill Reality, Camp Reality, Celebrity Bull Riding, Celebrity Newlywed, like all these shows. And a lot of those shows, whenever they were looking for a bad guy, it would come down to me or Bonaduce, and they're just like, well, Fairplay acts crazy, but he's actually not, and he's very easy to work with production wise, and Bonaduce's actually crazy. So I would get gigs over Bonaduce. This wasn't my call. This is casting people's decision, not mine. So anyway, so I wasn't aware of that, and so I during the red carpet, they asked, they were like, who are you excited to meet? He goes, if I see Jonny Fairplay tonight, I'm gonna physically fucking hurt him. And and my lawyers found this after the fact, which really would have liked that information. And then, so when I go to present the last award, Bonaduce's sitting with Adrian Curry from America's Next Top Model and Chris Knight, Peter Brady from the Brady Bunch. And so they're talking, and Bonaduce goes, I just want to fucking hurt that guy so bad. And production hears him from Fox Reality, and they go up there. And so he goes up on stage. So once again, I think we're cool. I think we're friends. And so he walks up. So I go to do the flying squirrel, and he throws me aggressively as hard as he can over his head, knock out my front 4 teeth. My jaw was shattered. I had 15 hours of surgery over the course of 2 days. I stopped counting on the second day of surgery. I stopped counting at 18 Novocaine shots because my adrenaline was just eating through the Novocaine. And I had the 4 root canals. The first one was done that night at 2 a.m. On a table in front of me, and the rest were done. So it's a pretty shitty situation. And fast forward to 8 days later, I go into, I've been waiting forever to come back and do another Survivor. I'm back for Fans versus Favorites. 8 days later, my jaw is shattered. It's wired, and I can't. I'm not able to eat a fucking sandwich until 8 months after this happens. So I'm out there to play Survivor, and we start the game, and Jeff goes, "There's a hidden immunity idol somewhere to start the game." I find it. I'm going to hang it on the boat, and this other guy, Yeah Man, comes behind me, shoves my head into the side of the boat from behind, jaw first. Game over.
And yet you still kissed him the following year.
We had a mediator and we had a settlement, and shit worked out.
There's a bunch of people that want me to ask you about Jimmy Rave. I don't know if you've seen the picture here. Apparently he's had his legs and one of his arms amputated.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I worked with Jimmy Rave in was it Dragon Gate USA. Really nice guy. I think I managed Eric Cannon again. I managed Jimmy Rave against Eric Cannon. I think they had like some kind of a challenge deal, and I managed Jimmy Rave, and I took the Total Anarchy from Eric Cannon, which is like a slingshot neckbreaker deal. And it was one of the funnest moves I've ever taken. So thank you, Eric Cannon. You have a very fun finisher.
Yeah, he's got some kind of disease now or something that's causing that.
Yeah, really cool guy. Really cool guy. So I would be shocked if WWE were not to hear about it and do something, because I feel like if you ask, I don't care if you work there enough, I feel like they have inherited the role of, like, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm completely wrong, but I would not be shocked if someone approached the correct person at WWE and they would help with that.
Would you still go to WWE or AEW if they offered you something? Obviously, you still have the ability to get heat.
I don't know. I mean, AEW definitely more than WWE just based on schedule. So sorry, I got the sun's coming and it's casting a shadow. So I have a 13-year-old and a 4-year-old daughter. And I have the occupation that I have purposely to spend as much time possible with them. And so the extremely relaxed current AEW schedule is something I would definitely be interested in. But and WWE's currently is not that bad. So, but if it were to if WWE were to return to pre-COVID schedule, no desire whatsoever. And if AEW were to adapt to something comparable, I love like I've done enough in my life. I'm financially comfortable. The occupation that I'm currently involved in allows me to live comfortably as well. And so, I'm here for the moments that I can and want to be here for. So, as I said, in the short term now with the schedules, sure, but like fast forward to a year from now, maybe and probably not.
And before we wrap this up here, I'll bring on your friend, Coach
Oh boy,
Mike Jones.
Oh, the coach of the most, Mike Jones.
Yeah. How are you doing? You wanted to pop on and discuss some wrestling, as you guys are still involved in the wrestling business, from what I understand.
That's right, Coach Mike Jones, the coach with the most, coming at you from coast to coast here in Puyallup, Washington, at the Coach's Corner Training Center. Man, I'm so glad that Johnny got to come on here, and I'm so glad that I've got to work with both of you guys. I'm looking forward to a lot more stuff to come, and I really appreciate everything you guys have both done for me and with me and working with you guys. And yeah, way back in the early 2000s, I got the pleasure to work with Jonny Fairplay in Oregon at New Dimension Wrestling.
I'm sorry.
And man, I couldn't believe it. One day, him and Phil Good was driving around Portland, and Johnny had Phil Good call me up and tell me, he said, "Hey, Johnny thinks you got the greatest gimmick in the world, and he's going to make you famous." And I was like, "What?" And then Johnny came up with an idea for my gimmick. And what was it, Johnny?
Coach Mike, the coach of the most. So it was it's kind of like a Richard Simmons type parody, Coach might come out and just be oblivious to the crowd, just like, "Hey, I'm gonna get you guys in shape. Let's do some jumping jacks, all right?" And he do jumping jacks and no one. He's like, "All right, almost there. Let's do this again."
Yeah, and man, it became good. I was the most hated and the most popular at the same time on the internet in the Northwest. There was a couple reasons why. For one, there wasn't much wrestling going on then. And
I give you the credit, not the lack of wrestling. Come on, Coach.
Well, no, I mean, and then I helped that too by, I had like a bunch of websites that I like maxed out. Nothing, most people weren't even doing anything. And then, around here, guys don't promote, they don't help, they don't do nothing. All they want to do is show up and wrestle. It's a mockery to the business, And then then I got to work with Awesome Adam, which Awesome Adam was having some great feuds in Jonny Fairplay's New Dimension Wrestling down in Portland. And then I got to main event Super World Sports from Matt Farmers in Washington. And so me and Awesome Adam versus the Suicide Kings was in the top matches of the year that year on Mike Rogers' Ring Around the Northwest. So I was really proud of that and glad I got to do it. And then later on, of course, Danny knocked out Johnny's teeth. And one morning, I was listening to KZOK in Seattle. All of a sudden, Danny Bonaduce's in Seattle. I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to kick this guy's ass right now, dude." he comes down there to Tacoma to do a promo thing, and I go right down there, and we got it on YouTube and everything. I was like, Danny Bonaduce, I'm gonna kick your ass because I'm gonna avenge Jonny Fairplay. Danny accepts my challenge, then he has since chickened out, acts like I don't exist, won't talk to me. But you know what? He's gonna get his, because for one, I got a short movie coming out that's gonna be previewing in all the film festivals around the world. This guy, Danny Bonaduce, is scared of Coach Mike Jones.
I believe it.
You know, and then after that, I got to have Jonny come to Washington to be part of NGW. And just like always, we always try to go above and beyond for the people we bring in. I bring him down to the Roadhouse on Thursday night, and we're out there on the patio having a drink. Jonny goes to the bathroom. There's this hot girl out on the patio, and I was like, hey, guess what? That's Jonny Fairplay in the flashy pants right there. He's famous from Survivor. Next thing you know, Jonny Fairplay and Misty hooks up. And then, of course, Misty's at Johnny's comedy show the next night. She's at the wrestling show on Saturday.
Don't get him in trouble.
Kayfabe, brother.
This is years ago.
Oh,
okay, and then
You got an intruder behind you or something, by the way.
oh, that's my girl. Sorry. Then unfortunately, at the wrestling show, it monsoon rain, and this is an outside show, and so most of our sponsors didn't show up, so I wasn't able to give Jonny what I promised him. But you know, Jonny knew that I'm going to send him the money, and that's all good. And then the next day, we got to go to an air show, which of course I got to have Jonny riding a dragster at the air show. So how was the dragster ride?
badass.
Yeah. And then, so it's like a week or so later, after Jonny leaves, Jonny gives me a call and said, guess what? This is the luckiest day of your life. I said, what's that? He goes, I got us on Judge Alex. And that was a blast. Let us know a little bit about that, Jonny.
We did it, Judge Alex, and Judge Alex paid what Coach Mike owed me.
Yeah, and that, you know, it's a work, you know. They let me go in there with my NGW shirt, my headband, and my whistle. And I blew the whistle on Judge Alex because he was in love with Jonny Fairplay.
I don't know if he was in love with me. But
well, and then like he said, usually the ladies try to kiss up to him to get his verdict. But you know, you're just doing your own work, yeah.
So, Jonny, where can people follow you if they want to look you up if they're watching this?
Sure. I feel like, Hannibal, you tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like the comments started pretty horrible, and I feel like I may have won them over a little bit by the end.
Yeah, your haters seemed to disappear as the interview went on.
Oh, did they just drop
Although
off?
Mike has a few.
Oh, yeah, he took them. So did they drop off, or you think I won them over? Because there's a lot of people that have preconceived hate. Oh, I remember the story. Like where I was going. So when I went back to TNA, Conan was there, and he was just like, "This motherfucker's heat." Like he goes, "Your hair is heat." He goes, "I see your hair and I hate you." So yeah. So I understand the heat, but at the same time, like people in the business know that I love wrestling. Like wrestling is my third daughter. I love and respect wrestling so much. And I do everything I can personally to help it when I can. And so, you know, I as a lot of people that, you know, probably start this podcast going, you know, oh, this dude fleeced TNA or whatever. That's not the case. I wanted to go where I was most appreciated, you know, both storyline, creative, and financially. And, you know, and I chose TNA. So, you know, do I regret that some days or a lot of days? Sure. But at the same time, I do love wrestling, and I hope that the people that see this know that I love wrestling. But as far as where you can find me, you can get a cameo.com/Jonny Fairplay, no H in Jonny, just Jonny. And then you can get a t-shirt at johnnyfairplay.com with every t-shirt purchase. Of course, you get a phone call from me, Jonny Fairplay, thanking you for your purchase. And finally, my podcasts are available at realitynsfw.com is both the audio and video. But if you just want to subscribe to the video, youtube.com/realitynsfw. And for anyone in the Northeast, I am making a rare Northeast appearance. I'm hardly ever there. I am watching Survivor tomorrow night. That's right, Wednesday night in Worcester, Massachusetts at Rascals. I will be doing a Survivor viewing party. I'll be joined by Brett LaBelle of Survivor of Millennials versus Gen X, and Denise Martin, the lunch lady with the mullet. She still has the mullet. It's beautiful. From Survivor China. We will be at Rascals in Worcester, Mass. You can get tickets at survivortix.com. That's tomorrow night, survivortix.com.
I can't help but think you would have been better off going to WWE after hearing this interview. I think they would have used you better and you would have made more money.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a very short-sighted decision. but another thing, they WWE wanted me to sign over my name.
Oh, yeah.
So that was pretty huge at the time.
Yeah, because of all your other stuff that you had going.
Yeah. And like WWE, you have to have everything approved. Whereas TNA, they were just like, anything you want to do, you can do. So, and as I said, like I was doing, celebrity bull riding, celebrity fear, like all that shit was just bam, bam, bam right there.
There you go. And you got another good comment. Promos are important, and you have that. Thanks for joining us, Mike, but I'll let Jonny close this off with a promo. I'll take off, and thank you for your time, Jonny, and thanks for popping on, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
Well, everyone here watching Hannibal and Jonny Fairplay, let me tell you now that you have got the reality TV icon and Survivor Hall of Famer Jonny Fairplay thanking you for joining us. It's the greatest podcast I've ever been involved in that's discussing professional wrestling, and my grandma wouldn't lie about that.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it.